Hey guys, welcome to Priceless B Movies. Before I start this review, I want to apologize. It's been a little while since I've posted one of these reviews, and basically I've been really busy. I've been involved in some local film projects here in Central Illinois, and also, when you're like me and you love horror and horror movies and it gets kind of closer to Halloween, your time just magically disappears. Not sure why. Getting that out of the way, however, I really would like to talk to you about one of the reasons that I love reviewing B-movies and cult movies and movies that just not a lot of people know about is because, especially if this is a film from the 80s or 90s, you're going to find a lot of kind of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon crap here. There are so many actors who show up in so many of the same movies together, and you never really think about it. Like, you think about it in a mainstream film, you think, oh, well, it's a Mission Impossible, or it's an action movie. Okay, so we've got Tom Cruise in this, or we've got Sylvester Stallone, and this guy's the bad guy, and this guy's a comic relief, and a lot of the time, the casting is a bit repetitive. What I love about these older movies, though, is that they're not always playing the same kinds of characters. You get to shake it up a little bit. It's kind of like there's more like a real artistry there than I think you find in more commercial film. Take this movie, for example. You've got Ray Liotta coming off of Goodfellas, Lance Henriksen from Aliens and every other sci-fi movie ever made, and Stuart Wilson, who just played a bad guy in almost every other movie of the 90s. And it's directed by the guy who directed GoldenEye and Casino Royale, 2 of the best James Bond movies ever. Why does no one seem to know what this movie is? No Escape. No Escape stars Ray Liotta. As I said, he plays this ex-Marine, and right in the first scene of the film, he walks right up to his commanding officer and shoots him in the face. Ray Liotta's not fucking around in this movie. Ray Liotta, obviously, is sent to prison, but being that this is a movie that takes place in the future, a prison can't be just, here's the jail and here's the cells. No, it's got to be some weird, outlandish sci-fi thing. In this case, they've kind of gone the Escape from New York route, and they dump Ray Liotta on this island where they just put the criminals that they think they can't handle. And basically the idea, just like in Escape from New York, is the criminals are here. They can live here, they can build whatever life for themselves, but they're there. They're never going to be able to escape. They're there until they die. On this island, there's 2 camps. There's one camp that's kind of ruled over by Lance Henriksen, and it's kind of the guys who were either innocent, or the crimes they committed weren't that bad. They're people you kind of wonder why they're on an island that's supposed to be for, the worst of the worst. These are peaceful people who are just trying to, make the best of their situation and survive as long as they can. And then, on the other hand, you have the second camp, which is run by Stuart Wilson, who, like I said, in the 90s, he was the bad guy in a lot of things. He was the bad guy in the third Ninja Turtles movie. He was the bad guy in The Mask of Zorro. And, of course, he's the bad guy in this. And basically, the camp that Stuart Wilson runs, those are the psychos. Those are the cannibals, the sadists, the rapists. Those are the people who you just, even if you were in a jail, you wouldn't want to be around because they are much more badass than you are. So basically what you've got here, if you are an H.G. Wells fan and you've ever read The Time Machine, just basically the same kind of thing as like how in that story they have the Eloi and the Morlocks. There's the 2 different groups that will never ever cohabitate well with each other. And of course, and inevitably, Ray Liotta gets caught up between these 2 groups and who he pledges his allegiance to, and eventually has to lead this more peaceful group of criminals. Just sounds weird even saying that, peaceful group of criminals. He has to lead this more peaceful group of criminals in a battle against the much worse criminals. I like No Escape. It's one of those movies they used to show on USA and the Sci-Fi Channel all the time during the 90s. But of course, when you watched it back then, it was on TV. All the good stuff was edited out. But it was one of those movies that was entertaining enough that you didn't even really realize that they were editing out gore, they were editing out profanity, because you could just enjoy the movie on its own. Ray Liotta had all the potential to be an action star. And, you can kind of argue that he was, but he's certainly not as well known in action-oriented roles as, say, like Bruce Willis, or Tom Cruise, or, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Sylvester Stallone, or any of what I would call the usual suspects in terms of action movie heroes. He does a good job here. He definitely plays the sympathy off the audience a bit more than I thought he would. He's not just, the guy who's the good guy. You really get a sense that he is a tortured soul all through this. And when you hear a little more about why he killed his commanding officer in the first scene, you really do feel sympathy for him, and you really do feel like he does not deserve to be in the situation that he's in. So you do end up rooting for him, which That's what you should do. Your hero, you should want to root for the hero of your action movie, especially if it's an action movie. Because it's not enough, as I've said in some reviews, to see the good guy kill the bad guy at the end and, emerge victorious. He has to overcome his personal demons. Otherwise, it's not a true happy ending and it's not a true victory. And let's face it, that's just no kind of fun. Lance Henriksen's really good in this movie, but he's really good in everything. He really is one of those pretty reliably good actors. Even if your script sucks, he's going to lend some quiet dignity to it. Here, he's kind of like this old mentor, and he really pulls off almost like you could feel like this could be your uncle, and he just, robbed someone out of desperation, and now he's in this situation. Once again, sympathies run high. You really do feel sorry for these people, and you really do feel like the position they're in is far too severe a punishment considering their crimes. Stuart Wilson does a good job as the leader of the other camp. When it comes to bad guys, I think you have to put it in context. There's some movies where I watch where I really want the bad guy to be human and to be flawed and, for you to understand what it is that makes him the way that he is, so you can kind of empathize with the character and that you can kind of really get the way they see the world. But then sometimes I just want to see a villain like this who just is cracking jokes left and right, decapitating people left and right, and is just all around a badass psycho. That's what Stuart Wilson is in this movie, and he does it really well. So, No Escape is basically The Shawshank Redemption meets Lord of the Flies with a bit of Die Hard thrown in it, and it's a great time at the movies. But I do have to learn a little disclaimer here, because even though I think this is a really fun, entertaining movie, it also is completely illogical. It is really hard for me to follow this movie and figure out exactly how in any future government this would be allowed. Then again, I have that same problem with Escape from New York, so I really can't fault this movie here. I'm going to give No Escape 3 stars. I think this is a really fun action movie, and if that's what you want, you're going to love it. And if you want to see some really good performances, you're going to love it. And if you want a movie that kind of represents the end of an era in terms of good movies about prison escapes, you're going to love it. No Escape is a fun film, and I really can't see any reason why I would tell someone not to go check it out. So that's my review of No Escape. Stay tuned, I got a lot more reviews coming. Also, and as always, if there's a movie you can think of that is either underappreciated or overlooked by critics or mainstream audiences, and you would like to know what I think about it, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see what I can do about checking out a copy of that movie and putting a review up for you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Priceless B movies.